Commander Ava Ruiz awoke to a faint, persistent alarm echoing through her small quarters. Her head throbbed. The overhead lights blinked with an urgent yellow glow. It was not the soft blue of a routine morning. It was a warning. She blinked away sleep and remembered where she was. Odyssey, the last human starship in this sector, traveling far beyond known space. The journey was supposed to take them to a friendly outpost, but something had gone wrong with their navigation system. Instead, they had jumped into an uncharted region, deep and unknown. Ava floated out of her bunk, pressing her palm against the cold wall to steady herself in the low gravity. She checked the control panel beside the door. "Commander Ruiz to the bridge," the ship's computer announced. "Urgent." She hurried down the narrow corridor, her boots thudding softly on the metal floor. The rest of the crew, only 4 others, were already awake, their faces tense with worry. Lieutenant Harris, the pilot, turned to her with wide eyes. "Commander, you need to see this," he said, pointing at the main screen. Through the window, Ava saw a sight both beautiful and frightening. The planet below was green and blue, swirling with clouds and ringed with silver light. But the real shock came from above it. A fleet of unknown ships hovered in perfect formation, their surfaces shimmering with colors Ava had never seen before. "Who are they?" whispered Dr. Patel, the ship's scientist. No one had an answer. Their sensors were overwhelmed by the strange energy from the alien ships. Every attempt to scan or communicate was blocked by static. For a moment, Ava felt a chill run down her spine. They were completely at the mercy of whoever waited below. A sudden voice boomed through the Odyssey speakers, a language none of them understood, but full of authority and power. Then, almost as quickly, it switched to a slow, careful English. "Human vessel, you are not in your space. Prepare for boarding." Ava drew a steady breath. She was responsible for her crew. Whatever happened next, she had to face it with courage. She straightened her jacket and gave her orders. "Everyone, remain calm. Harris, lower our shields. Dr. Patel, monitor their signals. We do not want to look like a threat. We will greet them peacefully." As the alien boarding craft approached, glowing with strange symbols, Ava tried to remember every lesson she had learned about first contact. Humans were tough, clever, and always ready for the unknown. She would show that to these aliens, no matter how afraid she felt inside. The doors hissed open. A team of tall, graceful beings entered, led by a figure in flowing robes and a crown of silver branches. The alien queen stepped forward, her eyes shining with intelligence and curiosity. Ava met her gaze, heart pounding, and nodded in greeting. She did not know what would happen next, but one thing was clear. Their adventure had just begun. Commander Ava Ruiz stood tall as the alien queen entered the Odyssey. The queen was even more striking up close. She was taller than any human Ava had ever met, her skin shimmering like moonlight, and her eyes deep and wise. She was dressed in robes that moved like water, covered with symbols that glowed softly. Behind her, a group of guards followed, each one holding a staff tipped with blue light. Ava took a careful breath and stepped forward. She remembered her training. Never look weak, but never look aggressive. She opened her hands to show she had no weapons. "Welcome to the Odyssey," she said, her voice steady. "I am Commander Ava Ruiz of Earth." The queen looked at Ava with interest, then spoke in slow English, her accent strange but clear. "Commander Ava Ruiz, human legend. I am Queen Cyrilla of the Elleran people." Ava blinked in surprise at those words. Human legend. Did these aliens know about humans already? She glanced at her crew, but they were as confused as she was. Queen Cyrilla continued, "We have heard many stories about humans, about your courage, your spirit, and your will to survive. Our records tell of humans facing impossible odds, never giving up, and helping those in need." Ava tried to hide her shock. Were these just old stories, or had humans made contact here before? She had no time to think. The queen was studying her carefully, looking for signs of the legend she had heard about. "I am honored to meet you, Queen Cyrilla," Ava replied, keeping her voice polite and calm. "We are travelers. Our ship is damaged, and we came here by accident. We mean no harm." The queen nodded slowly, her silver crown glinting in the ship's lights. "Accident or not, your arrival has caused great excitement among my people. There are many who wish to meet a human, but first I must be sure you are truly what the legends say." Ava stood taller. "We are ready to answer your questions, Your Majesty." Queen Cyrilla smiled, a small, gentle smile that made her seem less dangerous. "You will have a chance to prove yourself, Commander. Our ways are different, but we respect those who show honor and skill. You and your crew are invited to visit my palace as guests. There, you will face a trial, a test of your character." Ava nodded. She did not like the sound of a trial, but she could not refuse. This was their only chance to earn the aliens' trust, and maybe find a way home. The queen turned and gestured for Ava and her crew to follow. The alien guards stood aside, giving them space to walk. Harris and Dr. Patel looked nervous, but Ava smiled to reassure them. As they left the Odyssey and stepped onto the glowing platform of the alien shuttle, Ava's heart beat faster. She was ready. Whatever this trial was, she would face it, like the legends before her. The alien shuttle hummed softly as it carried Ava and her crew through the sky. Out the windows, they saw forests of glowing trees, crystal rivers, and tall, elegant towers reaching into the clouds. It was beautiful but strange, and none of them spoke. Everyone was thinking about the trial the queen had promised. Soon, the shuttle landed on a floating platform near the Grand Palace. The palace itself looked like it was carved from light and stone, with bridges that shimmered and gardens filled with flowers that sang when the wind blew. Alien citizens gathered below, their eyes wide with curiosity and excitement. News of the humans had already spread. Guards led Ava, Harris, and Dr. Patel into a large hall with tall columns and walls covered in moving patterns. The room was filled with Elleran nobles and officials, all eager to see the legendary humans. Queen Cyrilla stood at the far end, holding a staff that glowed brighter than any other. She raised her hand, and the hall fell silent. "Commander Ava Ruiz," the queen announced, her voice echoing through the chamber. "The time has come for your trial. Our ancestors believed that only those with true strength of body, mind, and spirit should lead. Today, you and your crew will face 3 challenges. Pass them, and you will have our trust." Ava nodded, determined not to show fear. The first challenge began immediately. A section of the floor opened, revealing a maze filled with moving walls and strange creatures. The goal was clear: get to the other side before the walls close. Harris volunteered to go first. He took a deep breath, then darted into the maze. He dodged swinging barriers and jumped over crawling, harmless creatures. He almost slipped once, but he pushed forward, reaching the end just before the exit shut. The crowd cheered, and the queen nodded in approval. The second challenge was a test of the mind. Dr. Patel was chosen. A puzzle appeared on a floating screen, symbols, numbers, and patterns shifting quickly. Dr. Patel studied them, her fingers dancing over the controls. Time was running out, but she suddenly saw the answer, pressed the right sequence, and the puzzle solved itself with a flash of light. Another wave of applause rose from the audience. Now it was Ava's turn. For the final test, a circle of Elleran warriors stepped forward. They surrounded Ava, each one holding a glowing staff. Ava had no weapons. She would have to rely on her skill and her wits. The first warrior attacked, but Ava ducked and rolled, using her agility to avoid the blows. She remembered her training, keeping calm and moving smartly. Instead of fighting back, she disarmed the lead warrior using only her hands and quick thinking, then offered the staff back as a sign of respect. The warriors stepped back, bowing to Ava. The crowd murmured in amazement. Queen Cyrilla smiled, her eyes shining with pride and awe. "You have passed, Commander. Truly, the legends did not lie. Ava felt relief and pride. She and her crew had proved themselves, but she sensed the real challenge was only just beginning. The trial was over, but Ava could feel that tension still hung in the air. As the crowd slowly left the Great Hall, Queen Cyrilla motioned for Ava and her crew to follow her through a side door. Guards flanked them quietly, their expressions serious. Ava glanced at her crew. Harris and Dr. Patel looked exhausted but relieved. They had passed the test, but for what purpose? The Queen led them down a long hallway filled with tall windows. Outside, the alien city glowed in soft blue and green lights, peaceful and beautiful. But inside the Queen's private chamber, the mood changed. The doors closed quietly behind them. Queen Cyrilla turned to face Ava, her expression now grave. "You and your crew have shown strength and wisdom," she said. "But there is a reason I ask you here. Our world is in great danger." Ava listened closely. She could hear the sadness in the Queen's voice. Cyrilla continued, "Long ago, our people were attacked by the Voidkin, creatures born from the darkness between the stars. We defeated them with great loss. But now, the Voidkin have returned. They are stronger, more cunning, and our weapons have little effect on them." Dr. Patel spoke up, her voice quiet. "Why do you think humans can help you?" The Queen sighed. "Our legends speak of humans who fought bravely against impossible odds, who won not with only strength, but with hope and cleverness. When our scouts discovered your ship, many believed it was a sign. Perhaps this time, the humans can help us again." Ava tried to process everything. She looked at the hologram the Queen showed, a moving image of the Voidkin. They were like living shadows, shifting and almost invisible, their eyes burning red. They slipped through shields and dissolved anything they touched. The images showed whole Ellerin cities destroyed, the beautiful towers brought down, the gardens blackened and silent. Harris stepped forward. "What have you tried already?" Queen Cyrilla explained. "We have fought with all our science and technology. Our energy weapons slow them, but do not stop them. Our shields are useless. They feed on fear and chaos. Every day, they come closer to our capital." Ava thought quickly. She remembered stories from Earth about humans fighting impossible enemies and surviving by thinking differently, by working together. Maybe that was why the Ellerin believed in the human legend. She looked at her crew and saw the same determination in their faces. "We will help you," Ava said, her voice firm. "But we need to understand everything you know about the Voidkin. We also need to meet your scientists, your soldiers, anyone who has fought them. Humans are not legends, but we are survivors. We always find a way." The Queen nodded, hope flickering in her eyes. "Thank you, Commander. There is much to do. But with your help, maybe there is hope for my people." As Ava left the chamber, the weight of responsibility settled on her shoulders. The real test was about to begin, not just for her, but for the future of two worlds. News of the humans' success in the Queen's trial spread quickly across the city. Wherever Ava and her crew walked, Ellerin citizens whispered and stared, their eyes wide with hope. It was clear the stories of the human legend were alive in every home, every street, and every heart. Queen Cyrilla invited Ava and her team to the palace library, a place filled with glowing crystals that floated in the air, each holding ancient knowledge. There, the Queen and her scholars showed them old records. Ava watched, amazed, as images shimmered above the crystals, scenes of humans and Ellerin fighting side by side, long ago, against creatures of darkness and chaos. These stories were passed down from our ancestors, Queen Cyrilla explained softly. Many doubted them, saying they were just bedtime tales, but you have proven them true. Your actions today have brought new hope to my people. Ava listened with respect. She saw how deeply the Ellerin wanted to believe in something greater. She also understood the pressure building around her and her small crew. These aliens looked at her as if she was a hero from the past, a living legend come to save them. "We are grateful for your trust, Your Majesty," Ava said, "but we are not heroes. We're just people, like you, trying to survive and help where we can." The Queen nodded, her eyes kind. "Sometimes, that is all a hero needs to be." The meeting continued with the Ellerin scientists, who shared everything they knew about the Voidkin. Dr. Patil eagerly took notes as the aliens explained how the Voidkin moved through shadows, slipping past normal barriers. They fed on energy, draining life from anything near them. The only thing that slowed them was intense, focused light. Ava's mind raced with ideas. She asked questions, suggested combining human technology with Ellerin inventions. Harris worked with Ellerin engineers, showing them how to modify their weapons with human targeting systems. Even small changes, like new ways to set traps or create distractions, made the Ellerin soldiers excited. As they worked, Queen Cyrilla watched Ava closely. At one point, she turned to her chief advisor and said, loud enough for Ava to hear, "So the rumors were true. The human legend lives." Ava smiled, a bit embarrassed but also proud. She knew now why the Ellerin needed her and her crew. It was not just about skill or strength. It was about hope. In times of darkness, hope was the strongest weapon of all. That night, Ava looked out from her guest quarters at the shining city below. She saw Ellerin children playing, families gathering, and guards patrolling with new confidence. She realized her crew had already changed this world, just by being themselves. But as she watched the horizon, where the first shadows of the Voidkin flickered in the distance, she knew the true challenge was still ahead. The legend was real, but now it had to live up to its name. Ava woke early, feeling both nervous and determined. The Ellerin city was peaceful for now, but she knew the Voidkin would not wait long before attacking again. Today, she needed to do something no outsider had ever done: bring all the alien factions together. Queen Cyrilla met her in the palace gardens, where sunlight glowed through the leaves. "The council waits, Commander," the Queen said. "If you can unite them, maybe we will have a chance." Ava nodded. She followed the Queen to a grand meeting hall, where leaders of different Ellerin tribes and guilds sat in a circle. Some wore fine robes and jewels, others simple uniforms. They all looked doubtful. Many had old rivalries. Some did not trust the humans at all. Ava stood in the center of the room. She remembered her first days as a young officer, standing before doubtful crews back on Earth. She took a breath and spoke clearly, her voice steady. "Your world is beautiful and strong," Ava began. "But the Voidkin do not care about beauty or pride. They want to take everything. If you fight alone, you will fall one by one. But together, you have something no enemy can break: unity." Some council members shook their heads, but a few leaned forward, curious. Ava continued, "I have seen humans win impossible battles, not by being the strongest or fastest, but by standing together. We learn to use our differences as strengths. Today, I ask you to do the same." One guild leader challenged her, "What makes you so sure this will work?" Ava smiled. "Because your ancestors did it before. The legends in your own libraries prove it. The first Ellerin and the first humans joined together and stopped the darkness. You already have the courage. You just need to trust it." There was silence. Then Queen Cyrilla stood and spoke. "Commander Ruiz is right. The time for old grudges is over. If the Voidkin win here, none of us will have a future." Slowly, the council members began to talk among themselves. Some argued, but others nodded. Finally, one after another, they stood and offered their support. For the first time in generations, the factions agreed to work as one. With the council united, Ava moved quickly. She gathered Ellerin engineers, scientists, and soldiers. She shared human battle tactics, showing them how to set traps, use decoys, and work in teams. Harris taught pilots to fly in new patterns, surprising the Voidkin scouts. Dr. Patel helped the scientists create special light weapons based on human designs. The city buzzed with energy and hope. People volunteered to join the defense. Craftspeople made armor and shields, blending Ellerin crystal with human alloys. Children painted banners of unity and hung them in the streets. As the sun set, Ava looked at her tired but smiling crew. They had started as strangers, but now they were part of something bigger, a true alliance. The Voidkin were coming, but for the first time, the defenders stood ready. Together, they would face the darkness. And maybe, just maybe, the legend would win again. The first alarms sounded at dawn. From the highest towers, Ellerin watchers saw dark shapes moving at the edge of the city, shadows twisting, flickering, crawling ever closer. The Voidkin had come at last. Commander Ava Ruiz stood on the city walls, her eyes sharp and alert. All night, she and her crew had helped the Ellerin defenders prepare. Now, every defense was in place. Teams stood ready at their posts. Light traps were hidden along the paths leading to the city gates. Pilots circled above, waiting for a signal. Queen Cyrilla joined Ava at the wall. "They are here," the queen whispered. "This is the day our legends speak of." Ava nodded, her heart beating fast but steady. She looked back at her crew, Harris in the command post, Dr. Patel with the scientists, everyone ready for battle. Ava took a deep breath and raised her hand. The signal was given. Suddenly, beams of focused light shot out from the towers. The Voidkin screeched, recoiling from the brightness. Some melted into the ground, but others pressed on, searching for darkness and weakness. The Ellerin defenders held their ground, using new shields made with human alloys. For the first time, the Voidkin slowed. Ava watched as Harris led a squad of pilots, darting through the sky in sharp, unpredictable moves. They dropped decoy lights, drawing the Voidkin away from the main gates. Dr. Patel and her team used small, portable lights to trap a group of Voidkin in a narrow street, where Ellerin soldiers quickly finished them. Still, the enemy adapted. The Voidkin split into smaller groups, sneaking through cracks and shadows. Ava realized they needed to change tactics. She called out, "Switch teams, mix the squads, move the light traps. They're learning our patterns." The defenders responded quickly. Human and Ellerin soldiers worked side by side, calling out warnings and sharing supplies. Ava herself rushed to the weakest part of the wall, where a group of Voidkin had broken through. With only a handful of soldiers, she used a trick from her old training, throwing a bright flare into the darkness. The sudden flash scattered the Voidkin, giving her team enough time to push them back. As the battle raged, Ava never stopped moving. She climbed towers, helped the wounded, and kept hope alive. The Ellerin watched her and fought harder, inspired by her courage. In the thick of the fight, Ava noticed something strange. The Voidkin avoided an old, abandoned temple near the city center. She quickly told Dr. Patel, who scanned the temple with her tools. The reading showed a strong, natural light source deep inside, something the Voidkin could not touch. Ava made a bold decision. "We'll lure the Voidkin into the temple. It's our best chance." As the defenders regrouped and prepared for this new plan, Ava felt hope rising again. The Alliance had survived the first wave, but the true test was still to come. Together, they would take the fight into the heart of darkness, and humanity's legend would shine brighter than ever. The battle raged on, but inside the ancient temple, Ava and her team prepared for the next move. The temple's walls glowed faintly with natural light, casting long shadows. The Voidkin feared this place, but they did not know why. Ava turned to Queen Cyrilla, who stood beside her with quiet strength. "We'll use the temple's light to trap the Voidkin," Ava explained, "but I need your help to keep them inside." The queen nodded. "Our warriors will guard the exits. No one gets out." Ava and her crew moved quickly, setting powerful lights and sensors around the temple's entrance. The plan was risky. The Voidkin were dangerous and unpredictable, but it was the best chance they had. Outside, the defenders prepared to lure the Voidkin toward the temple. Ava's voice came over the comms, steady and clear. "Begin the retreat. Draw them here." The city's defenders fell back slowly, leaving small groups of light behind to slow the enemy. The Voidkin, hungry and angry, followed eagerly, slipping into the shadows of the temple's outer grounds. Ava watched as the first Voidkin entered the temple. Their red eyes burned with fury, but the light inside caused them pain. They shrieked and twisted, unable to move freely. Suddenly, the temple doors slammed shut, sealed by powerful alien technology. The Voidkin were trapped. Inside, Ava and her crew faced a swarm of dark shapes, the worst of the enemy. With her team fighting beside her, Ava moved like a force of nature, dodging, striking, and using every trick she knew. Her hand shook as she set charges to block escape tunnels, but she never stopped. Then a sudden explosion rocked the temple. Ava was thrown to the ground. She saw Queen Cyrilla rush toward her, protecting her from falling debris. "We must hold them here," the queen said urgently, "no matter the cost." Ava nodded, pain sharp in her side, but her spirit stronger than ever. She looked at the soldiers around her, their faces lit by the temple's glowing light. "This is our moment," Ava said. "We fight together." The battle inside the temple was fierce. The Voidkin fought to escape, but the light kept them weak. Ava's crew worked with the Ellerin warriors, combining human tactics and alien technology in perfect harmony. One by one, the Voidkin began to fall. The tide was turning. But then the temple shook again. A massive Voidkin burst through a weakened wall, its eyes blazing with dark power. It charged at Ava, who barely had time to react. She rolled aside, pulling a small energy blade from her belt. The fight was close and dangerous. Ava's heart pounded as she struck the beast, the blade glowing bright against its shadowy form. The queen and the warriors joined, attacking together. Finally, with a final powerful strike, the beast fell. Silence followed. Ava sat back, breathing hard, watching the last of the Voidkin fade into nothingness. The defenders cheered quietly. The impossible had been done. Queen Cyrilla smiled at Ava, awe in her eyes. "You are more than a legend, Commander. You are a hero." Ava smiled back, tired but proud. She knew this victory was just the beginning, but it was a victory they would never forget. The city was quiet after the battle in the temple, but Ava knew the war was not over. The Voidkin would not give up so easily. They had lost this fight, but their dark forces still lurked beyond the horizon, waiting for a chance to strike again. Queen Cyrilla summoned Ava and her crew to the palace council chamber. The room was filled with leaders, warriors, and scholars from every part of the Ellerin world. Everyone looked tired, but their eyes held determination. "The Voidkin will come one last time," the queen said solemnly. "This will be their final attack. We must be ready to face them together." Ava stepped forward. "We have learned much from our battles. Now it's time to use everything we have, our weapons, our knowledge, and our unity." She laid out a plan. They would create a strong defense line around the city, combining human tactics with Ellerin technology. Light barriers would protect the walls, and teams of soldiers would patrol day and night. Pilots would fly in tight formations, ready to strike any Voidkin that appeared. The Ellerin leaders agreed and quickly put Ava's plan into action. Soldiers trained harder than ever, engineers built new light weapons, and scientists studied the Voidkin's weaknesses to find any advantage. As the days passed, Ava and her crew worked tirelessly. Harris flew patrols, watching the skies for signs of the enemy. Dr. Patel helped improve the city's defenses, making the light traps stronger and more effective. One evening, Ava stood on the city walls, watching the sunset. The sky was a mix of orange and purple, but beyond the horizon, dark clouds gathered. The Voidkin were coming. Suddenly, the alarm sounded. The enemy was here. From the shadows, the Voidkin attacked in waves, faster and more furious than before. Their dark shapes moved like smoke, slipping through cracks and gaps. The defenders fought bravely, but the Voidkin were relentless. Ava moved quickly, shouting orders and helping wherever she was needed. She saw soldiers fall, but also saw them rise again, never giving up. The city became a battlefield of light and darkness. In the middle of the chaos, Ava spotted the Voidkin leader, a massive, shadowy figure glowing with dark power. It moved toward Queen Cyrilla's palace, hoping to break the defender's spirit. Without hesitation, Ava rushed forward, determined to stop the leader. She called for backup, and soon her crew and the Ellerin warriors joined her. The fight was fierce. Ava dodged powerful attacks, using her energy blade and quick reflexes. Her crew worked as a team, supporting each other and pushing the enemy back. With a final, strong strike, Ava wounded the leader. The great shadow howled in pain and vanished into the night. The remaining Voidkin lost their will to fight. The defenders pushed them out of the city, chasing them into the darkness. When the battle ended, the city was battered but standing. Ava looked around at the tired faces of her friends and allies. Queen Cyrilla came to her side, smiling proudly. "You have saved us all, Commander. Your courage has given us a future." Ava smiled back, feeling a deep pride. They had faced the darkness, and together they had won. But as the sun rose over the city, Ava knew this was only the beginning of a new journey for humanity, and the Ellerin alike. The legend would live on. The battle was over, and the city was finally safe. The sun rose slowly over the shining towers, bathing the streets in warm light. Ava stood on a balcony of the palace, looking out at the world she and her crew had helped save. Around her, the Ellerin people were already beginning to rebuild. Children laughed as they played in the gardens. Families shared meals in the open squares, and workers repaired walls and bridges. The city was alive again, full of hope and promise. Queen Cyrilla joined Ava quietly. "You have done more than save our city, Commander. You have given us a new beginning." Ava smiled. "It was not just me. Your people fought with courage. We fought together. That is what made the difference." The Queen nodded thoughtfully. "You are the human legend come to life. Your strength, your heart, they have inspired us all." Ava looked at the Queen, feeling both honored and humbled. "I never wanted to be a legend," she said softly. "I just wanted to do what was right." Cyrilla smiled gently. "Sometimes, the right thing becomes legend." As the day went on, Ava met many Ellerin citizens who thanked her and her crew. Some told stories passed down from their ancestors about humans who fought in dark times long ago. Now those stories had a new chapter, one written by Ava and her friends. Harris and Dr. Patul worked alongside the Ellerin scientists to share knowledge and build better technology. The humans had brought not only their courage but also new ideas, helping the Ellerin create tools to protect their world far into the future. That evening, a grand celebration was held in the palace courtyard. Music filled the air, and lanterns floated above the crowd like stars. Ava stood beside Queen Cyrilla as the people cheered. The Queen raised her voice so all could hear. "Let this day mark the beginning of a great friendship between our worlds. Together, humans and Ellerin will face the stars, not as strangers, but as allies." Ava felt a warmth in her chest. This was more than victory. It was a new hope for many worlds to come. As the festivities continued, Ava looked up at the night sky, the stars shining bright. She thought of her home on Earth, far away but close in her heart. Her journey had started with an accident, a lost ship, and a mysterious planet. But it had led to something greater, a legend, yes, but also a future filled with friendship, bravery, and new adventures. Ava smiled and whispered to herself, "This is only the beginning." And with that, she knew she was ready for whatever lay beyond the stars. The human legend had come alive, and the galaxy would never forget it.